We're back with more on WHHI News. A recent report was released by the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs about the number of scams committed on people here in the state in 2023. Here to tell us all about it, Scott Cooke. He is the communications director. Scott, a lot of money was lost in scams, correct, from what you found out?
Yeah, in scams, we had about 963 different reports that were filed with our agency as far as scams go. And we know that number is likely to be a lot higher because we know a lot of folks just don't report scams when they're a victim. They may not know to come to our agency for assistance with it. And a lot of times people are just embarrassed or kind of, don't want that stigma that maybe is attached. And a lot of times, if somebody falls victim to, maybe a $20 scam online or something, you just kind of shrug your shoulders and say, well, it wasn't that much money. And so we know a lot of times those things get underreported, but as far as value, it was nearly $6 million that South Carolina consumers lost in 2023 due to scams. And we would love for that money to stay in hands of people in this state for legitimate, spending and use and things like that.
Well, absolutely. And, you're right. I think some people probably are embarrassed by the fact that they've been taken. But when you say someone's been taken for like $20 and it's $20, when you think if there's an individual or entity out there taking $20 from this person, that, and the other, it certainly does add up. So would you encourage people to contact your department?
Yes, absolutely. You can go to consumer.sc.gov. We have a scam report form there that you can fill out. Just kind of let us know a little bit about what happened. And we might have some information for you in some cases, depending on how you paid. If you paid with a credit card or something like that, you may be able to kind of go in and possibly get some money back, depending on what the situation is.
Well, let me ask you this. What types of scams were reported to your department? What did you hear about?
The biggest ones are purchase scams. That's about 18% of the scams that we saw. And a lot of times, they may be something where you're buying something online or you're, giving some kind of money to somebody to be able to get something. And a lot of those times is just, something that doesn't exist. So if you're on social media or on a website, you're clicking through there, just really kind of know who you're buying from. Because we know scammers sometimes set up fake advertisements. They'll set up fake accounts on social media and they kind of really mimic real companies in a lot of ways. So really kind of do that research and pay attention to what sites you're clicking on.
Especially if you're giving out a credit card number, et cetera. I mean, someone could get a hold of that and really go to town. How about other issues that you saw come up in 2023?
Yeah, one of the big things from us was about 50% or so, a little bit over 50% of the scams that were reported to us involved phone calls. So this is really kind of one of those things where you want to take a step back anytime you're getting phone calls out of the blue, really kind of think about who's calling you, why they may be calling you. And also just that, idea that a lot of phone calls are spoofed. So it's not the person who, your caller ID may be saying. It really can be just about anybody that's calling on that. So really kind of think about the phone calls you're answering. And a lot of times just let those go to voicemail. And, if it's somebody that's really important to you or somebody that and you have a legitimate business with, they'll leave you a voicemail.
Absolutely. And, I knew of an instance where someone called and said they were with Medicare or some other entity and was asking this woman for, this a few years ago, but for her account number at her bank, and she ended up giving that out. Or people will get a call saying, we're with so-and-so, you owe us money. People will give out their credit card. Absolutely, right? Don't do that over the phone.
Yeah, don't do that. And especially if it's, those other kind of numbers too, like your debit card, especially those numbers, kind of going back on those purchase things, don't use those debit cards for those online purchases.
Right.
Because if you're getting scammed or even if, that data is breached somehow, those debit card numbers are really kind of a direct access and a direct way into your checking account or your savings accounts, things like that. So you really want to definitely protect those debit card numbers.
Now, Scott, we're already out of time here, but I want to encourage people. You have the information, I would assume, on the website, do you, your department website?
Yes, on consumer.sc.gov, we have the 2024 report. You can also go back and look at other years if you're interested. And we have that information kind of broken out by counties as well. And it also looks at identity theft and scams. So we know identity theft is a big issue that a lot of people have dealt with. And the report also kind of looks at ways that people's identities were possibly stolen throughout 2023.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Scott Cooke. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't go away. Up next, we're going to find out how food is provided for hungry children over the summer months. Stay right there.